One of the things that's so important is in advocacy is to collaborate. This isn't a time to stay in your silo where sometimes we're more comfortable or, we struggle to, make the time or make it a priority to get out and meet other people of like minds. So we have to collaborate, connect, and communicate. And one of the first things that you can do is join a childcare association or some kind of organized group in your community. Even the Chamber of Commerce at a federal, state, or local level. And typically you start out as an advocate locally or state. That's how I started. I actually joined a childcare association. I was a multi-site manager in the state of Oklahoma for a large childcare company. I had 8 schools, and I had a wonderful support system because I had a group of directors, I had co-district managers, I had a home office, and I didn't think I needed to join the childcare association because those were individuals that owned their own centers. Well, lo and behold, in the early 80s, mid 80s, the oil industry went under in Oklahoma, and we suddenly had a lot of unemployed people, and our businesses were struggling. And because I was in Oklahoma, anybody up north wasn't struggling, only those of us that lived in Oklahoma and Texas. And I had somebody that kept calling me and saying, you should come to our childcare association meeting. You should come to our childcare association meeting. So I decided to go. I thought maybe these people know something I don't know because I'm struggling here and nobody in my home office understands the struggle. And lo and behold, I met a lot of people that owned their own businesses and were providing care to children that were struggling with the same thing I was. But some of them had figured out ways to compensate for the lack of enrollment. And they were also reaching out to their legislators and their governor on what was needed to keep childcare alive and well through a huge recession. And that's my personal story. And I will tell you, that's how I ended up here. Because the lady that drugged me in, and I'm using the word drug me in, to that organization also drugged me into the National Childcare Association about 20 years ago. And I became a board member. And then ultimately in 2019, there was some changes made in the National Childcare Association, and the parent company of NCCA NECPA became the parent company, and I was on that board, and I was retired, and they asked me to do this. So advocacy is a journey, and I really want to help you with your journey by suggesting to you ways you can start. You can also join committees or councils that represent the Office of Child Care in your state. I was able, through the Child Care Association, I was able to be a part of licensing revisions twice. I was asked to be a member of the Child Care Advisory Board that was underneath the governor of Oklahoma. There's all kinds of doors that opened for me to become an advocate just simply because I showed up at a Child Care Association meeting and then kept going back. So I would really emphasize you finding a group of like-minded people. Get familiar with your legislators in your district, your governors, your administrators of early childhood training programs in community colleges and higher ed. And I will tell you, I was eventually reaching out to the training programs in colleges and higher ed, because in order to achieve the quality rating improvement scale goals that the state of Oklahoma had for us, which included national accreditation, I needed to get people that were credentialed. And I also needed to get people that worked with me credentialed. And by reaching out, I eventually became a board member for Oklahoma State University for their director credential program and for the training program at Oklahoma University. So just showing up at a Childcare Association meeting started me on my journey. And I hope that story helps you see that that's where an advocacy journey starts. And don't get disillusioned. If you do decide to reach out to one of your legislators or your governors to make an appointment to talk with them, about and tell your story, because your story matters and what you do matters, you're going to talk to one of their aides, but that's okay, because those aides are there to hear what you have to say and to take materials and information, to the legislature or the governor. When you make these connections, be careful not to just complain. We need to be solution oriented. And that's sometimes, one of the problems that I have seen in working with different groups is you spend a really long time on the complaint and not enough time on the solution. And there are people that are more solution oriented than others. And that's where, if you have that unique talent, don't hesitate to use it, because it takes all kinds, to work together to get results. And tailor the communication to the agency or the leader that you're engaging. Try to find some common ground. I know I just met with a legislator from Virginia in Washington a few weeks ago, and I actually met with one of his aides. And the common ground is that his mother had owned a childcare center when he was young. And so again, you try to have some kind of, conversation that leads to, some type of familiar common ground that you might have with that individual. But more importantly, hold your head high. You are a stakeholder, a voter, an essential business person or organization, and your voice matters. But you have to use it, right? If you don't use that voice, it's not gonna matter. So I would encourage you, one, if you haven't started, start where you are and find an organization to work with and that you think can help move things along in the areas that early care and education need help from our government on. And if you are already a part of one of these associations, think about how you participate and what you bring to the table, and invite someone else, like someone invited me, because this is my invite to you, to all of you, is to become an advocate.